Here's another question from Cindy Lovelace's class, 5th grade. This is a question from Asa. What is it like to win a Caldecott medal? That is a fantastic question, and I don't think the answer is what you will think it is. So when I'll tell you what happened. So it was 4:30 in the morning. I got a phone call, and it was the Caldecott committee. They were in Chicago, and I live on the West Coast. I'm in California. And they called to tell me that I won the Caldecott medal. And I remember feeling nothing. I remember feeling just this feeling of like, oh, wow, that's cool. Never thinking that something like that would ever happen to you. And I remember immediately after hanging up the phone, I started to cry because it was this feeling of achieving something that was so beyond your dreams. And usually when I have dreams and aspirations, I always kind of think of like dreams and aspirations that are tangible, meaning like, oh, someday I'd love to own a house because I think, yeah, I could afford a house someday. But, never on the scale of saying, I hope I win the Caldecott medal. It's just too grand of an award for you to think like, oh gosh, someday, like you don't even dare think about it because you never think it's a possibility. And so when it happened, I remember just crying because, this thing happened to me in life that was beyond my scope of imagination. And then as a result, I remember thinking about all the people that went on to win Caldecott medals and the legacy that they left. I was thinking of your Marie Sendaks and so forth, and your Brian Selznicks and your David Wiesners and things like that. And suddenly you're kind of just thrust upon this company of people that you really admired throughout your entire life. And then there's this feeling of inadequacy, this feeling of like, gosh, I'm not really sure if they got the right person, or now you have to live up to a certain standard. Now that you're an award winner, you have like every book that you make has to be as good as that book. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself to perform, so much so that, there was a good period of time, I would say maybe a good 2 or 3 months, where I was actually a little depressed after winning the Caldecott medal. And I remember my agent calling me, and she said, you need to stop working for a good 2 months. Like, don't go to your desk, don't draw anything, don't write any stories, don't think about it. Just go off and just be with your family, play video games, do whatever, but just don't do work, because you're stressing yourself out so much that you're not enjoying what you just accomplished. And I was a workaholic. Like, I was always constantly working. I'm always having like 4 or 5 projects on my lap. And then just to stop and not do anything and just sit there. And I remember being really restless, thinking like, who relaxes? This is terrible. I hate this. Like, I hate relaxing. This is dumb. And so it wasn't until maybe like week 5 or 6 of just relaxing and doing nothing, when I finally kind of got into the groove of understanding what I did and appreciating what I did, and just being very appreciative of the opportunity to be honored in that way. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got was from a fellow author, a friend of mine, Bruce Coville, because I asked him, I said, so like, I was very open with him. I told him like, I'm having a hard time, with this award, with this this recognition. And, he said to me, he said, look, William Shakespeare wrote some great things, but he also wrote some really horrible things too in between, and for every brilliant book that, he wrote, he also wrote some trash, but then as he kept going, he would write some brilliant stuff again. And, you really can't let the fear of failure keep you down. You just have to keep going. Sometimes you're going to have your hits, sometimes you're going to have your misses, but you just keep going. And that was some of the best advice that I ever got was from Mr. Bruce Coville. And so, yes, to this day, winning this Caldecott medal, it's pretty great. I mean, now that I have a new focus goal, like I don't want to just be recognized for Beagle. Like I don't want to be known as like, oh, there's that guy that did that one book. Like I'd like to be known for a body of work. And then really as a writer, that's just what I've sought out to do, is just create a body of work that people can like, look and admire. But yeah, no, it's a great achievement that I never expected in my life. It's given me a couple more years to be a cool dad, to my kids. And as a result, it's given me opportunities to work with some really great people that I didn't think I'd ever get to work with. So yeah, it's a wonderful privilege and an honor. And it's something that I feel on a daily, that it's something that I have to live up to.